The phone rang at 2:17 in the morning on a Tuesday. Patricia Bennett fumbled for the receiver, her heart already racing. After 29 years of false hopes and dead ends, she had learned to expect the worst. "Mrs. Bennett, this is Detective Rachel Morgan with the Millbrook County Cold Case Unit." Patricia's fingers tightened around the phone. "We got him." 200 miles away, police vehicles silently surrounded a suburban home outside Montgomery. Inside, a 61-year-old man was being placed in handcuffs, bewilderment on his face. Robert Mitchell Hayes had believed he had gotten away with it for 29 years. Every clue fades unless you keep it alive. Faded clues tell forgotten stories. Keep them alive. Subscribe today. Millbrook County, Alabama sits against the Georgia border. Dense pine forests and tight-knit communities where secrets rarely stay buried forever. In 1990, this rural county became the backdrop for a mystery that would haunt residents for generations. The disappearance of 23-year-old Sarah Bennett during a simple 6-block walk to visit a friend. For nearly 3 decades, her case gathered dust while life carried on. But some things remained constant. Her mother never moved, keeping the same phone number. The community never stopped whispering. And somewhere, hidden in plain sight, her killer walked free. Until now, Sarah Bennett was not just another missing person statistic. To those who knew her, she was a force of nature with an infectious laugh and ambitions bigger than her small Alabama town. Born in 1967 to Patricia and David Bennett, Sarah was the middle child of 3 siblings. Her older brother Marcus described her as the glue of our family, stubborn as hell, but with a heart twice the size of Alabama. By 1990, at 23 years old, Sarah had established herself as someone going places. She worked full-time at Riverside National Bank while taking night classes at community college. Her goal was clear: save enough money to transfer to Auburn University and study business. Her bedroom wall featured a hand-drawn calendar counting down the months until she could apply. She was determined to be the first in our family to get a college degree, Patricia would later tell investigators. Every penny she earned went into that college fund jar on her dresser. Life in Millbrook County in 1990 moved at its own pace. Population around 12,000, spread across small communities and farmland. Sarah's daily routine was predictable. Early morning jogs, work at the bank arriving at 8:15 with her signature Auburn University coffee mug, evenings split between library study sessions and time with close friends. That girl had her whole life mapped out, recalled her best friend Amanda Cooper. She kept a notebook where she wrote down all her goals. Buy a car, check. Save $5,000 for school, halfway there. Find someone worth bringing home to mama, still unchecked. Though Sarah had dated casually, friends said she was not seriously involved with anyone. Her focus remained on her future, on breaking out of the cycle that kept so many classmates tethered to Millbrook County forever. The weekend before she vanished, Sarah had driven with friends to Atlanta for a concert. Photos from that trip show her beaming in a denim jacket, arms around her friends' shoulders, city lights glowing behind them. It would be the last photograph ever taken of Sarah Bennett. 3 days later, on a mild Tuesday evening in May 1990, Sarah would step out her front door for a short walk to her friend Nicole's house 6 blocks away and vanish without a trace. Robert Mitchell Hayes defied every stereotype of a predator. Standing 5'10" with thinning gray hair and reading glasses, he resembled a retired teacher more than someone harboring a deadly secret. Neighbors in his Montgomery suburb described him as unremarkable, polite but private. He kept his yard neat, always paid his fees on time, said Margaret Wilson, who lived across the street for 15 years. If you had asked me to pick someone on our block hiding something terrible, he would have been last on my list. Born in 1960 in Gadsden, Alabama, Hayes had a childhood that appeared ordinary. Average grades, minimal disciplinary issues. He graduated high school in 1978, attended community college briefly, then entered the workforce. By 1990, Hayes worked as a delivery driver for Southern Beverage Distributors, supplying drinks to stores and restaurants across eastern Alabama. His route included Millbrook County, providing legitimate reasons to be in the area and knowledge of local roads and neighborhoods. What investigators found most disturbing was the calculated nature of Hayes's post-crime behavior. Within 3 months of Sarah's disappearance, he requested a transfer to a different delivery route, citing a desire to be closer to aging parents in Montgomery. By December 1990, he had moved away from Millbrook County entirely. It was a smart move, Detective James Rivera would later observe. Most perpetrators drastically change their lives after committing a crime. Behaviors that draw attention. Hayes made a reasonable, explainable life change that would not raise eyebrows. In Montgomery, Hayes built a life designed to avoid scrutiny. He married in 1992 through a church singles group. No children. He worked for the same company until retirement in 2015. He joined the Rotary Club, volunteered occasionally, built a modest retirement account. His only brush with law enforcement was a speeding ticket in 2003. He created the perfect cover, Detective Morgan explained. Stable marriage, steady job, community involvement. Who would look twice at someone like that? The most haunting question remained. What connection existed between Hayes and Sarah Bennett? Intensive investigation revealed no obvious prior relationship. They had not attended the same schools or churches. None of her friends recognized his name. The connection was far more random and disturbing. Security footage from Riverside National Bank showed that on April 24, 1990, 2 weeks before Sarah's disappearance, Hayes had entered the bank during her shift. Transaction records showed Sarah had processed his paycheck. A single 90-second interaction at a bank window. That was all it took. Tuesday, May 8, 1990 began like any other day for Sarah Bennett. Her alarm buzzed at 5:45. She was out jogging by 6:15, back home by 7:30. Patricia Bennett recalled their brief breakfast conversation. Sarah mentioned an upcoming performance review at the bank, hoping for a raise to accelerate her college savings. She was counting pennies that morning, Patricia told detectives, figuring out if she could afford summer classes instead of waiting for fall. Security footage showed Sarah arriving at the bank at 8:27, hair still damp, carrying lunch in a brown paper bag. Co-workers described the day as routine. At 2:13 in the afternoon, Sarah received a call. After hanging up, she asked to leave 30 minutes early. The request was approved. At 4:30, cameras captured Sarah exiting the bank. She stopped briefly to chat with a co-worker before getting into her blue Honda Civic. This casual conversation revealed nothing unusual about her demeanor. Sarah arrived home at 4:45. Her mother was working an evening hospital shift. Her father was on a business trip. Alone in the house, Sarah changed clothes. A half-eaten sandwich remained on the kitchen counter. At 7:13, phone records show Sarah received another call from her friend Nicole Turner, who lived 6 blocks away. They discussed meeting up to review exam notes. Nicole invited Sarah over, mentioning fresh cookies and coffee. At 7:26, Sarah called her mother at work, leaving a brief message. "Tell Mom I am heading to Nicole's to study. Should be home by 10. This would be the last confirmed communication from Sarah Bennett. Based on witness statements, Sarah left her house on Elm Avenue at approximately 7:30. She wore jeans, a navy blue Auburn University sweatshirt, and white sneakers. She carried a backpack containing textbooks and notes. The walk should have taken 12 minutes. Down Elm Avenue 3 blocks, through the small neighborhood park, then 3 blocks along Maple Street to Nicole's house. Streetlights illuminated most of the path, though one lamp in the park had been reported non-functional for over a week. Mrs. Eleanor Simmons, an elderly neighbor, told police she saw a young woman matching Sarah's description entering the park at approximately 7:40. She was walking at a normal pace. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. I noticed her because she waved at me while I was watering my garden. I have known the Bennett girl since she was knee-high. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Sarah Bennett. At 8:15, Nicole Turner began to worry. Sarah was typically punctual. Nicole called the Bennett residence but received no answer. By 10:30, Patricia returned home from work to find the house empty. She called Nicole. The conversation that followed set everything in motion. "She never showed up," Nicole told Patricia, panic rising. "I thought maybe she changed her mind." Within minutes, Patricia was on the phone with the sheriff's department. "Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments." It is amazing how this story from a small Alabama county is now reaching people everywhere. These forgotten cases matter, no matter how much time has passed. By midnight, officers were retracing Sarah's route. Flashlights swept the park, revealing nothing unusual. As dawn broke Wednesday, the search intensified. By afternoon, the FBI had been notified. On Thursday morning, May 10th, a volunteer searcher found Sarah's backpack partially hidden beneath a bush at the park's edge. The textbooks and notes were still inside, seemingly untouched. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, nothing to indicate what happened except the abandoned backpack itself. Silent testimony that something had gone terribly wrong. The discovery transformed the case from missing person to suspected abduction. Sheriff Walter Daniels took personal command. At a press conference on the courthouse steps, he made a solemn promise. "We will not rest until we find Sarah and bring whoever is responsible to justice." The investigation team consisted of 4 county detectives, 2 state police, and FBI Special Agent Marcus Reynolds. They established a command center at the First Baptist Church. A dedicated tip line was installed, manned 24 hours by volunteers. Detective Roy Simmons served as lead investigator. The backpack was sent to the state crime lab for analysis. Results were disappointing. Only Sarah's fingerprints were found, suggesting the perpetrator had been careful or wearing gloves. "We are dealing with someone who did not leave much behind," Simmons told the sheriff. "This does not feel like a crime of opportunity. There is a methodical nature to it." The investigation focused on potential suspects, men with criminal histories within 5 miles. 7 registered sex offenders were questioned. 6 had verifiable alibis. Sarah's most recent ex-boyfriend, Thomas Garrett, received scrutiny when his alibi proved inconsistent, though physical evidence linking him to the crime remained elusive. The investigation expanded to include transient workers, construction crews, carnival workers. Each was tracked and interviewed. Meanwhile, community search efforts continued. Volunteers combed every inch of woodland within 10 miles. Diverse checked ponds and creeks. Sarah's photograph appeared on regional newscasts and newspapers. The Bennett family offered a $10,000 reward, eventually increased to $25,000 through community fundraising. By late summer 1990, the investigation had generated over 400 tips and 212 interviews, yet physical evidence remained scarce. Beyond the backpack, investigators recovered a single partial footprint and 1 human hair caught in the backpack zipper. This hair, less than 2 inches long, represented both promise and frustration. In 1990, hair analysis was limited to visual comparison. The hair did not match Sarah's. It was sent to the state lab and filed away with hope that future advances might extract more information. In September, 4 months after Sarah's disappearance, the FBI scaled back involvement. The command center was dismantled. The tip line disconnected. The investigation had not officially gone cold, but daily momentum had stalled. Sheriff Daniels assigned Detective Simmons to continue as schedule allowed. Simmons kept Sarah's photograph on his desk. "This one haunts me," he told a reporter. "Somebody knows something. We just have not found them yet." By the 1-year anniversary, the active investigation had been reduced to following occasional tips. On May 8, 1991, over 200 community members gathered in the park. They held candles, said prayers, released white balloons. Patricia addressed the crowd. "My daughter is still missing, but the truth is not. The truth is out there, and someday it will come to light. No one could have imagined someday would take nearly 3 more decades." Time moves differently when waiting for answers. For the Bennett family, the calendar became both enemy and friend. "People tell you grief gets easier with time," Patricia explained in a 1995 interview. "But when there is no closure, no body to bury, you are stuck in terrible limbo." The Bennett home became a shrine. Sarah's bedroom remained untouched. Textbook still open on her desk, auburn pennant on the wall, Dreams Fund, jar on the dresser holding $4,317. David Bennett channeled grief into action. He took early retirement to search full-time, becoming a certified private investigator. "My husband became a different person," Patricia recalled. "Every waking moment was about finding Sarah." The strain took its toll. By 1997, David had moved to an apartment near the courthouse. They never divorced, but could not bear the daily wait together. Marcus moved to California in 1992, unable to walk riverside streets where every corner held memories. Only Jennifer remained with her mother, marrying in 1994 and having 3 children. The oldest named Sarah Elizabeth. Throughout the decades, the family kept Sarah's case in the public eye through annual memorial walks. What began with hundreds gradually dwindled to dozens, but they never missed a year. By the 10th anniversary in 2000, Sarah's case had been featured on 2 national crime shows, generating brief tip flurries that led nowhere. Technology transformed investigation. In 2001, Detective Simmons retired. His replacement, Detective Laura Moss, digitized case files and ensured Sarah's information entered national databases. "Cold cases are never truly cold," Moss said. "They are just waiting for the right piece of information, the right technology, or the right person to come forward." By the mid-2000s, DNA analysis had revolutionized forensic science. The evidence was re-examined using new techniques. The single hair received particular attention. In 2007, attempts to extract mitochondrial DNA were inconclusive, degraded by time. David Bennett did not live to see advances bear fruit. In 2012, after 22 years of obsessive searching, he suffered a fatal heart attack outside the sheriff's department. He was 71. At his funeral, retired Sheriff Daniels placed Sarah's case file on the casket, acknowledging the quest that had defined David's final years. Patricia carried on alone, determination undiminished. Now in her 70s, she maintained a website, embraced social media, and repeated her mantra, "Someone knows something." By 2019, as the 29th anniversary approached, The case had outlasted 2 sheriffs and 4 lead detectives. But in a small office at the Justice Center, a newly formed cold case unit was about to take a fresh look. In January 2019, Sheriff Marcus Wade proposed establishing a dedicated cold case unit. "These are not just files gathering dust," Wade told county commissioners. "These are promises we made that remain unfulfilled." The commissioners approved funding for 2 people. Wade chose Detective Rachel Morgan, a 15-year veteran known for refusing to give up, and James Rivera, who brought specialized training in forensic genealogy. In March 2019, they officially reopened the Bennett investigation. Their first step was complete review of case files, creating digital databases of every person mentioned. "We approached it with fresh eyes but total respect for the work before us," Rivera explained. "Our advantage is not that we are better investigators. It is that we have better technology." The partial footprint was digitally scanned and enhanced. The cigarette butts now held potential for complete DNA profiling. But the single hair represented the greatest promise and frustration. In early 2020, the lab successfully extracted mitochondrial DNA, providing a partial profile. But without a suspect to compare against, it represented progress without resolution. Then in January 2021, the FBI announced a partnership with a lab pioneering protein-based hair genotyping, extracting nuclear DNA from rootless hair shafts. Only 5 labs nationwide had this capability. The FBI offered to cover costs for select cold cases meeting specific criteria. Detective Morgan immediately applied for Sarah's case. In March 2021, they received word. The case had been accepted. "I called Patricia immediately," Morgan recalled. "I was careful not to promise anything, but I could hear the hope in her voice." The hair sample was sent to Virginia. The analysis would take 8 weeks. During that time, Morgan and Rivera continued building their case, preparing for any outcome. On June 17, 2021, at 10:42 in the morning, the lab called. "We have a complete profile," Dr. Richardson announced. "Full nuclear DNA. 23 genetic markers suitable for CODIS and familial matching." After nearly 3 decades, science had caught up. The hair had yielded its secrets. The DNA profile was uploaded to CODIS by day's end. The result was disappointing. No direct match. The perpetrator had never been arrested for a crime requiring DNA collection. But this was not the end. With no CODIS match, the investigation pivoted to genetic genealogy, using the DNA profile to identify relatives through ancestry databases, then working backward through family trees. "Think of it as creating a family tree in reverse," explained genealogist Carolyn Fitzpatrick. The DNA was uploaded to GEDmatch, identifying several distant relatives. Fitzpatrick constructed elaborate family trees, looking for intersections. By August, the search had narrowed to a specific family line with roots in eastern Alabama. The breakthrough came in early September when a second cousin twice removed provided a DNA sample. On September 3, 2021, the team presented a name: Robert Mitchell Hayes, 61 years old. Former Millbrook County resident now living outside Montgomery. The name meant nothing. Hayes had never appeared in any investigation files. He was a ghost who had slipped through completely. Rivera built a background profile. In May 1990, Hayes had been 30, working as a beverage delivery driver with a route including Millbrook County. No criminal record. Most significantly, Hayes had moved from Millbrook County in late 1990, just months after Sarah's disappearance. On paper, he looked completely unremarkable, Rivera said. That is often the case with predators who evade capture. They blend in perfectly. The team needed confirmation. They obtained a warrant for abandoned DNA. For 2 weeks, surveillance followed Hayes. On September 21st, Hayes purchased a soft drink at a gas station, consumed it, then tossed the can in a trash receptacle. The can was retrieved and rushed to the lab. The call came at 2:17 on September 23rd. The DNA from the can matches the hair. Match probability 1 in 7.2 trillion. After 29 years, they had found their suspect. If you are finding value in this deep dive into how modern forensics brings justice to decades-old cases, the arrest required meticulous planning. Once DNA confirmed Hayes as their target, a multi-agency team assembled. "We had one shot to do this right," Sheriff Wade explained. The team included county detectives, tactical officers, and FBI agents. Planning covered every detail. District Attorney Caroline Winters ensured all legal requirements were met. Search warrants were prepared for his residence, vehicles, and electronic devices. On September 23rd, at 4:30 in the morning, the team assembled 3 blocks from Hayes' home. At 5:15, Detective Morgan knocked on the door. "Police. Search warrant." Lights came on almost immediately. Hayes opened the door in pajamas, looking confused but not panicked. He seemed more annoyed than afraid, Morgan recalled. Like we were interrupting his sleep, Morgan stated clearly. Robert Mitchell Hayes, you are under arrest for the kidnapping and murder of Sarah Marie Bennett on May 8, 1990. Hayes's expression transformed, the annoyance replaced by shock, then something harder to define. Hayes did not speak, did not ask who Sarah Bennett was, did not claim innocence. He simply stood silent as officers secured him. His wife appeared behind him, confused and frightened. As Hayes was led away, Rivera observed something significant. Hayes never once asked who Sarah Bennett was, never expressed confusion. That reaction is very unusual for someone innocent. Silence spoke volumes. Inside the house, investigators discovered a locked cabinet in the garage. Hayes's wife had no key. When opened, they found dozens of newspapers from May and June 1990, all featuring Sarah's disappearance, carefully preserved in plastic sleeves, organized chronologically. By mid-morning, news had spread through Millbrook County like wildfire. Patricia learned during that pre-dawn call. I always knew this day would come, she told reporters. I just did not know if I would live to see it. A spontaneous gathering formed at the park. People brought flowers and candles. This town has carried Sarah's story for 29 years, said Nicole Turner. Her case changed how we thought about safety, about evil hiding behind ordinary faces. And now it is changing how we think about justice. That even after 3 decades, truth comes to light. Hayes made his first court appearance via video link. The courtroom was packed. Judge Barnett denied bail, citing severity and Hayes's demonstrated ability to evade detection. District Attorney Winters announced pursuit of first-degree murder charges. The passage of time does not diminish the gravity of this crime, she declared. In December 2021, a grand jury returned an indictment. The trial was scheduled for May 2022. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The prosecution presented 42 witnesses and over 200 pieces of evidence. Patricia testified about her daughter's character and dreams. Nicole described the panic when Sarah never arrived. Original investigators explained evidence preservation. Forensic scientists detailed DNA extraction after 3 decades. The defense challenged chain of custody and raised contamination concerns. But the prosecution's case was overwhelming. The DNA match, the newspaper collection, Hayes's presence in Millbrook County, his move shortly after, the bank footage showing their interaction 2 weeks before she vanished. On May 26, 2022, after 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned. Guilty on all counts, Patricia closed her eyes and exhaled for the first time in 3 decades. 2 weeks later, Judge Barnett held sentencing. Patricia delivered a victim impact statement. You took my daughter 31 years ago, she said, looking at Hayes. You took her dreams, her future. You took my husband too, because the search consumed and killed him. You took 3 decades of my life. But I am here to tell you I forgive you. Not for your sake, but for mine. I have carried this burden too long. Today I am setting it down. You will spend life in prison, but I will spend mine finally free. Judge Barnett imposed sentence. Life without parole. Hayes would die behind bars. As he was let out, he briefly looked back at the family. His expression remained blank. He offered no apology, no explanation. He simply turned and disappeared. The resolution sent ripples through Alabama's criminal justice system. Within a year, 5 other counties established cold case units. The Alabama Bureau of Investigation created a statewide genealogy team. The Bennett case demonstrated what is possible when you combine preserved evidence with modern technology, explained Dr. Montgomery. It is changing how we approach cold cases statewide. For Millbrook County, resolution brought healing. Annual memorial walks transformed into celebrations of persistence and justice. The park received improvements and a permanent memorial featuring Sarah's photograph and a quote chosen by Patricia. The truth is patient. It waits for the right moment to be revealed. Patricia established the Sarah Bennett Foundation for Cold Case Resolution, providing funding for advanced DNA testing and supporting families of missing persons. The foundation's first initiative funded testing for 3 unsolved cases. One has already resulted in an arrest. Sarah's story reminds us no case is truly unsolvable, Detective Morgan reflected. Sometimes justice requires patience, new technology, but it always requires people who refuse to give up. Patricia, now approaching 80, supports other families walking the same path. I tell them what I wish someone told me 30 years ago, she said. That their loved one matters. That truth is worth pursuing no matter how long it takes. That they are not alone, and never to give up hope. Because sometimes justice takes 3 decades. But it does arrive. In the evidence room, Sarah's case file has moved to the Solved Cases archive. It is a paper trail documenting humanity's determination to find truth and deliver justice. Robert Mitchell Hayes remains in maximum security, serving life. He has never admitted guilt, never expressed remorse, never explained why. Those answers remain locked inside him. But the most important truth has been established. Justice has been served. Sarah Bennett's name is no longer followed by missing. Her family has answers. And a man who thought he escaped justice learned that time does not erase crimes. It only delays accountability. My fellow fated clues detectives, what must we learn from Sarah Bennett's case? That evil wears ordinary faces? That science can reach back through decades to expose truth? That families who never give up can see justice no matter how long they wait? Share your thoughts in the comments. And do not forget to subscribe and like so we can continue uncovering the next mystery together. Every story matters. Every victim deserves to be remembered. And every clue, no matter how faded, still has power to reveal truth.